stories have you been able to hear from, from your elders?
So many, mainly traditional farming. Like in this particular area, which you don't see as much anymore, but this whole area used to be like a huge farming community. I mean, like pigs, chickens. Most of my elders, when I talk to them, they don't know nothing about no grocery store because it's like if they needed something to eat, they'll just go either in the front or the backyard.
So they grew it themselves.
Yes,
Very resourceful people, I'd imagine.
very.
So, your community has a really rich tradition of with the sea and the land. How is that changing as the climate is changing? How is that impacting people?
So much. Even though I'm not a professional crabber, but I know a lot of people who do, and I eat a lot of seafood, especially crab. And I can see the difference now because like the price of crab has been going up because there are not as many crabs as it was before. There's a lot of pollution going on within the water, and the temperature is even rising in the water, and that's messing up the crab population. Which even for people who don't, might necessarily eat seafood, but we also use that within our agriculture and farming practices. And so that's making us, we're having to adapt with the change. And we don't, for some of us don't really know what the future holds. Because if all the crabs disappear, what are we going to do? Like we use that for food and also like I mentioned, just by growing our food. So it's like, that's changing the way that we live.
Well, it's got to be really painful to see, not only because it hurts people's livelihoods, this is what they do, this is how they're able to support themselves, but it also has to be really hard because it's such an important part of your culture and the experiences you all share together.
Yes, yes. And even that, because like something as simple as crabbing, some people do it now for a job or, just for a sport, but that was also like a form of therapy for us. Because during slavery, it's not like, people could just visit, hey, knock, knock, can I have like self-care day? And so we would just sit by the water and crab and fish for food, but also just to meditate and have that practice. But now it's like, it's starting to become depressing. The things we found that was healing us is starting to become depressing because you see, okay, you used to go out and be able to catch a bucket full, basket full of crab or catch a lot of fish, but now you're not getting that many because of the way the temperature is rising and all the pollution in the water. Because even some of the stuff you do catch, you
You might not be able to eat.
Exactly, might not be able to eat it.
What is something that you would really want kids across the country to really understand about the Gullah Geechee culture?
I want kids to understand that Gullah Geechee is a living culture. We're not gone. Most people, they learn about Gullah Geechee through Gullah Gullah Island, and I'm like, yes, that's a TV show, but we're also like real people. We're here. We're a living, breathing culture, and know that we are human beings like the rest of y'all who are just trying to survive and thrive and help our culture to survive the next couple generations.
Well, Akua, thank you so much for meeting with me and telling me so much about the Gullah Geechee community. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you for having me.
Want to learn more about our national parks? Then hit that subscribe button, friend. Stay up to date and catch bonus features by following us on Instagram @OutSCIder.